grew up as Greeley Higgins, which is my middle name. And when I went to college, everybody asked me how to spell it, so I changed it to my first name, which is Dan. And so I've been Dan, but a lot of people around here still call me, all the people I went to high school with, and they all call me Greeley, so.
Oh, really?
And I'm a junior.
Yeah.
It was my dad's name too, so. As such. Just a couple of things I wanted to do first. I wanted to do two things. One about growing up here in Claiborne, and the second thing is talk a little bit about the ferries, which I have some pictures here, which I can show you too. When I was a kid, the old railroad from a track was still in the back of our yard. As a kid, I used to play on the railroad. They were taken up sometime after I left here. I don't know exactly when they were taken up and stuff. What I thought I'd do, first of all, I just go down Main Street and tell you who lived there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, good.
The last house here on the right is my left. Is still the last house when I was a kid. Billy Sewell grew up in that house. He was moved back here to Claiborne. His mother and father, his father was quartermaster on the ferry boat. So the next house, of course, is my uncle's house where Nancy is. Beth lived now, as such. The church, up until, I'm not sure the exact date, but somewhere between 25 and 30, was moved out of the grove. It was originally down what we call the grove down where you live, that little circle.
That was the building physically moved?
It physically moved.
It was rolled on logs, I understand?
I had no idea, I wasn't
Yeah.
around.
Right, well, that's
I was around the 30s, but I don't know when it was.
Dan, when you talk about when you left, what year was that?
I graduated in high school at 44.
And
Went in the Army and came back and went to college and that kind of stuff.
and then you left Claiborne at what year?
Well,
And went to New England?
oh, no. I left here in 44 and I graduated from high school. Went in the Army. And never really, I came back to visit, but never really came back to live until I moved back here in 87. So I was gone. That's, the next house here wasn't there when I was a kid. Rennie's house was owned by a fellow people named Bullen, and he was the chief engineer on the ferry, on the ferries. The next house where Carolyn lives was her grandparents and parents lived there. They lived there together. And Neil was a quartermaster on the ferry. Claiborne were two things going on. Either worked on the water, crab and fish, or you worked on the ferry. One of the two. Well, there were some businesses here, but not very many. Where I went. So next to Carolyn was the Davis family, Mrs. Davis. She was the postmaster. That little building back there, that's the post office when I was a kid.
I didn't know that until last time.
Is that behind your house?
Oh, okay.
Behind the.
And
That's where Terry lives now.
Huh?
Looks like
Terry, who isn't here much, is that her house or?
Yeah, that's her house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, it's not occupied now, people own it, but no.
Mhm.
And she lived there with her son-in-law and daughter. I can't remember the last name. They were from Tillman's Island. Come to me.
Having a senior moment.
When
I'd
I
like
was
to see you. My age.
when I was there, Clark Ledman lived there. Wasn't the Ledmans, was it?
No. Was actually, before that was, should have written all this down. Anyway, well, the next house is where you live. And Mrs. Denny Jones lived there, who's my Sunday school teacher, one of my Sunday school teachers. Lived there by herself. And then later that was owned by people outside Baptist. The next house is where Mr. Richards lived, where a new couple just moved in there next to you.
Mhm.
And he was one of the ticket agents on the ferry as such. And then the next house, that were opposite the store, Mrs. Jarman owned. And he was a retired railroad person, but in the summertime, they ran a business down in Ocean City, and he just came back here. That was the second house my mother and father lived in when they moved to Claiborne. Dad came out of the Army in 1919 and came across on the ferry, and they offered him a job, quartermaster. He stayed there until he tied it up, as such. And they lived in another house. Then right on the corner there where Beaver lives. Mr. Burrs lives there, who also worked on the ferry. The next was, it's been going around the circle there, people named Timmons lived there. And that's not the original house. The original house was an older house, and the son moved back here and tore down the house and built it before he moved.
That was Paul Timmons.
Right, yeah, Paul.
The son.
Just for reference, is that where Paul and Becky live now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
The other way around. So
It's
To the
going
right
the
of
way-
Beavers.
Oh, I see, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be.
Yeah.
One of the
Gotcha.
first nanny coats, I think, that came here.
Hmm?
One of the first nanny coat houses that came here.
I guess so, yeah,
She told me that.
yeah, probably so.
And she loved her.
Then the next house is, I don't know who owns that house now. It's on-
Paulette, Florio, and Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my piano teacher lived there. And her husband lives there. Can't remember my piano teacher's name. I should have written this down. Think of that. Leave. So going around, right there on the corner opposite him where the schoolhouse was. The schoolhouse is now been moved out into what we call the pre-inventory.
Was the schoolhouse next to the house on the corner, or was it across the street where Flo's is?
No, it's right on the corner there.
On Flo's on.
Where Flo's garden is.
Yeah, on Flo's.
Where
Where the
Flo's
road
garden
turns to,
Where Flo's garden is now?
well, she has several, but the biggest garden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where she puts her trash can?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
one.
it was on that corner there.
So you make the turn and it's on your right.
Right, yeah, right there on the right.
Was it grammar school and high school or?
Grammar school, 5 grades.
Oh.
I had the same teacher the first 5 years in high school. She taught me from grade 1 to grade 5.
Is
About
it
12,
correct
13 kids in the whole school.
that that's the school that's on Mrs. Moon's property?
That's right, she moved it. Yeah, that's the
She moved it on
schoolhouse.
Dan, was that a one-room schoolhouse situation where there were various ages, or was she just happened to go with that particular, with?
No, it's
with your
one
grade?
room, in different classes, that first, second, third.
Okay, okay.
Was that the same lady that was your Sunday school
Hmm?
teacher? Was she also your Sunday school teacher?
Also my Sunday school. Couldn't get away from it. But actually, no, she was a very, very nice, and she's also our next door neighbor.
So you really couldn't.
Really?
The house, our neighbor told me today, she came in and said that she might have a buyer for that house, so that's a new resident in Claiborne.
For Dottie's house?
Yeah, Dottie's house, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was up for rent for a while, right? Just
Yeah.
recently. Of course, it was up for sale, then I heard, okay, so.
Well, she said it's not a done deal, they
Gotcha.
seem
Maybe.
fairly interested. Then she go around the house there where, what's it called?
Churchill, except,
Huh?
oh, you're
No,
not that
Will
far.
Murdoch.
Yeah,
Lyle Murdoch?
Murdoch, where Murdoch lived.
Right, Great.
People named Lindsay's lived, and he was chief engineer on the ferry.
the ferry town.
Yeah.